Many people believe that the enjoyment we derive from gaming comes solely from the mechanics of the particular game. I propose a different perspective, that our own respectful or fair approach to gameplay can provide us with even more rewarding experiences, often in subtle ways. And we are partly responsible for the discovery of these features. In this video, which is a part of a series debunking popular gaming misconceptions, we explore this idea further. First of all, a shift away from immediate rewards makes the whole gaming process more like art instead of sport. In the same way that interaction is characteristic of games, contemplation is characteristic of art. And if we take a closer look on these meticulously designed and very tiresome animations, we can easily recognize the alienation effect, which is something what I can call here the intentional use of boredom. These effects make the experience more rewarding, because the shooting enhances the enjoyment of these slow animations, and the animation delay so eventually intensify the reward of the fast-paced gameplay. The proper appreciation of landscapes before and after a gunfight is likely to make delayed individual acts more rewarding. That way or another, in today's gaming world, three functional and contemplative background play a significant role. First of all, the existence of vibrant woodlands. Just takes a glance at the Lost Jungle. And secondly, densely populated fictional urban areas with brutalist architecture. However, our perception of both of these elements is artificial. Not long ago, forests mainly instilled fear, and we can easily entertain thoughts about times when concrete structures were associated with tranquility. On the contrary, one could argue that even the most visually unappealing virtual cities, such as Night City, its stark concrete structures defy any notion of beauty. These buildings are not healthy, practical, or exciting. This architectural style is referred to as brutalism, and after spending a considerable amount of time playing, let's say around 1,000 hours, these cities begin to acquire a subjective charm despite their lack of objective beauty. However, the constant presence of rewarding gunfire and music during gameplay has a profound impact on our later perception. We can acquire even delayed nostalgia. The third functional aspect, and the prime example, is music. I mention this because the experience of a single-player gameplay is heavily influenced by the music accompanying it. There may be guidelines, such as fast-paced games requiring high-tempo music which have short note values for the dynamics that make the design and interaction seem fitting. The radio stations in GTA games are good examples, although they cater our personal and sometimes bad preferences. Sometimes we reach a conventional agreement between the screen and our selection, sometimes not. Music can be characteristic of a particular time, country or setting. However, what really interests us is the music that is imposed on us during narrative gameplay through editorial expertise. For the sake of our catharsis, dramatic musical effect can be characterized as an increase in tension, texture, and an ascending pitch that is then maintained when it reaches the climax. This type of music serves multiple purposes. It sets the scene, establishes a specific time and place, it creates a mood and atmosphere, it clarifies the narrative and it gives hints about future narrative developments, it sheds light on the character's motivations, and it contributes to our role-playing emotions, sometimes just weakly represented or realized on the screen. Music can unify a series of pixels and images that might seem disconnected on their own. Perhaps the most memorable moments occur when the filmmaker intentionally combines harsh visuals with cheerful music to create an ironic effect. However, the mechanics of the game operates in a more traditional manner, and I cannot recall any ironic editorial moments between the shooting gallery and music selection. Perhaps excessive irony, just like an overabundance of architectural and decorative elements, could be distracting during gameplay. Who knows? In normal gameplay, music conventionally links us to the task at hand, establishing a sense of control. And what is crucial is that it almost morally justifies our choices in gameplay. Music holds its own pleasurable value, like a pinch of salt that enhances everything. And once we acknowledge all these specific functions, we derive even greater enjoyment because we have gained insight into the mechanistic gameplay elements we should really focus on. These are mostly game mechanics as explicit rules like chance, strategy, competition, cooperation, movement, time pressure, game turns, ownership, status, levels, resource management, role-playing. Psychological motivation is largely connected to these mechanics in a hedonic or anti-hedonic, strategic or compulsory way. And these mechanics further channel through basic psychological needs. Many game designers and players assume that a sense of immersion is based mainly on the fidelity of the graphics and sound provided by the virtual environment. It is interesting that our findings suggest a minor role for these elements. Instead, the major predictor of presence is the degree to which games satisfy motivational needs. Autonomy. The developers behind these creations encouraged players to explore various paths to success, offering them the freedom to make choices in terms of overall progress. This includes the ability to select missions, dialogues, acquire different skills, and customize their characters' appearances. In addition, by allowing players to navigate through different challenges and form alliances with non-player characters, they were given the power to shape the game's storyline. In today's open-world landscape, these affordances provide players with meaningful actions, allowing them to balance their insatiable curiosity with limited resources. These features may or may not afford feelings of competence and enhanced intrinsic motivation, because in overall, a virtuously free endorsement of a specific choice is what's crucial for feelings of subjective autonomy, not the choice itself. Games that involve conflict and combat can effectively fulfill the need for autonomy by empowering players with opportunities for moral choices regarding strategies and missions. Likewise, in-game violence often reinforces the motivation by providing players with instinctive and immediate feedback on their performance. The sight of blood, for instance, immediately informs the player that they have successfully hit their target. That is crucial for creating a well-crafted power fantasy, and also mastery motivation. Mastery motivation. The mastery of controls is a crucial factor in motivating players, serving as a necessary but not sufficient requirement for achieving a satisfying gaming experience. The process of acquiring mastery is commonly referred to as the learning curve by both players and designers. Games with complex controls and mechanics are often described as having a steep learning curve, which is generally not enjoyed by players, at least in the beginning. However, they see it as a necessary step to assess the potentially fulfilling experiences that lie ahead in the game. Once this kind of motivation is obtained, it provides video game players with the chance to assess intentional and contextual affordances such as puzzle solving through salient cues, aesthetically pleasing victory and combat, and exploration for its own sake. Relatedness need. Our focus lies solely on relatedness in illuminating individual player experiences known as parasocial interactions. But what exactly is a parasocial interaction? It is described like illusory experience where media audiences engage with personas, such as fictional characters, as if they are involved in a reciprocal relationship with them. This can be highly rewarding because our attitudes often continues between the represented character and real-life ones. We all know this is the ancient magic of photography. Now we should talk about something closely related problem. Acrasia, in other words the weakness of the will, is a philosophical concept that pertains to acting against one's better judgment or lacking self-control. When examining addiction in relation to acrasia, we can explore how addictive behaviors often involve a struggle with weak-willed self-control and conflicting desires. Let's delve into addiction through the lens of weakness of the will. In the realm of addiction, acrasia manifests as the inability to resist the urge to engage in addictive behaviors despite being aware of the negative consequences or our better judgment. These addictive factors encompass escapism and grinding, the continuous process of improving one's standing by accumulating in-game achievements and rewards. Also, online environments provide a physically secure and anonymous space detached from the risk of real life. Hence, after prolonged use of video games, we may encounter a diminished ability to stay focused on our long-term goals when faced with immediate distractions. Essentially, this implies that we may come to prefer stimuli that do not align with socially accepted and often postponed goals. Some game mechanics might counter these effects by shoving distant goals, like a power plant in the early game, making the whole experience more structured and goal-oriented. Similarly, by being more mindful of our gameplay choices and optimizing difficulty, we can achieve a similar result. It's interesting to note the paradox of cheating. It may bring immediate rewards, but can be detrimental in the long run. How that could be? Just look at the definition of gameplay by Bernard Suits. A voluntary attempt to overcome unnecessary obstacles. Therefore, finding balance between risk and reward is crucial, as these elements can shape long-term habits, and habits, in a sense, are virtues. Through gameplay, we can become more courageous, cowardly, or cautious. Recognizing this allows us to take responsibility for our personal growth. So Akrasia manifests as the inability to resist the urge to engage in harmful behaviors despite being aware of the negative consequences. However, as we come to realize our responsibility toward our gaming experience, we begin to develop a second set of preferences regarding our initial desires. We learn to appreciate what we should love rather than what we currently love. And if these second set of preferences develop into good habits, then these good habits can be considered virtuous. With some practice, we can find enjoyment in seemingly mundane scenarios, such as the vast emptiness of space, or we keep ourselves entertained during closing acknowledgement.